Every day on this channel, I cover everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's how many times Elon posted about each subject today. I will cover everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one. And starting with Tesla, they've just launched a new Model Y variant in the United States called the Model Y all-wheel drive, $42,000. It has a 294-mile range and it goes 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Tesla has also renamed the Model Y standard to the Model Y rear-wheel drive. So now you have a Model Y rear-wheel drive, an all-wheel drive, a premium rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and a Model Y Performance. Elon reposted that. The vice president of finance at Tesla said, "I'm extra excited for this. Growing up in Chicago, the only vehicles we considered as a family car were those with all-wheel drive. This is the case for many cold weather customers throughout the country. The new Model Y all-wheel drive is the lowest priced all-wheel drive vehicle we've ever sold in North America by a significant margin, despite all of its capabilities. Hoping to welcome a lot of new owners to the Tesla family with our new lineup." Elon reposted that. Let's hear Elon talk about China.
And China, by the way, is like it seems like China listens to everything I say and does it basically, or at least, or they're just doing it independently. I don't know, but they're certainly making massive battery packs, like really massive battery pack output. They're making vast numbers of electric cars, vast amounts of solar. I don't know. These are all things I said.
Elon replied saying China is an amazing powerhouse of manufacturing and understands very well that solar is the future. It's just a fact. And Jason Calacanis said nobody will remember that Tesla ever made a car. They will only remember the Optimus.
Yeah, I don't want to name drop, but I went 2 Sundays ago, I went to Tesla with Elon and I went and visited the Optimus lab. There were a large number of people working on a Sunday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And I saw Optimus 3. I can tell you now, nobody will remember that Tesla ever made a car. They will only remember the Optimus and that he is going to make 1 billion of those. And it is going to be the most transformative technology product ever made in the history of humanity, because what LLMs are going to enable those products to do is understand the world and then do things in the world that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
I believe it'll be a 1-to-1 ratio of humans to Optimus, and I think he's already won.
Elon said he might be right. And moving on to SpaceX, you guys, it happened. SpaceX and XAI have just formally announced that they are merging. And here's the full statement from Elon Musk. SpaceX has acquired XAI to form the most ambitious, vertically integrated innovation engine on and off Earth, with AI, rockets, space-based internet, direct-to-mobile device communications, and the world's foremost real-time information and free speech platform. This marks not just the next chapter, but the next book in SpaceX and XAI's mission, scaling to make a sentient sun, to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars. Current advances in AI are dependent on large terrestrial data centers, which require immense amounts of power and cooling. Global electricity demand for AI supply cannot be met with terrestrial solutions, even in the near term, without imposing hardship on communities and the environment. In the long term, space-based AI is obviously the only way to scale. To harness even 1/millionth of our sun's energy would require over 1 million times more energy than our civilization currently uses. The only logical solution, therefore, is to transport these resource-intensive efforts to a location with vast power and space. I mean, space is called space for a reason. By directly harnessing near constant solar power with little operating or maintenance costs, these satellites will transform our ability to scale compute. It's always sunny in space. Launching a constellation of 1 million satellites that operate as orbital data centers is a first step towards becoming a Kardashev 2 level civilization, one that can harness the sun's full power while supporting AI-driven applications for billions of people today and ensuring humanity's multiplanetary future. In the history of spaceflight, there's never been a vehicle capable of launching the megatons of mass that space-based data centers or permanent bases on the moon and cities on Mars require. Even in 2025, the most prolific year in history in terms of the number of orbital launches, only about 3,000 tons of payload was launched into orbit, primarily consisting of Starlink satellites carried by our Falcon rocket. The requirement to launch thousands of satellites to orbit became a forcing function for the Falcon program, driving recursive improvements to reach the unprecedented flight rates necessary to make space-based internet a reality. This year, Starship will begin delivering the much more powerful V3 Starlink satellites to orbit, with each launch adding more than 20 times the capacity to the constellation as the current Falcon launches of the V2 Starlink satellites. Starship will also launch the next generation of direct-to-mobile satellites, which will deliver full cellular coverage everywhere on Earth. While the need to launch these satellites will act as a similar forcing function to drive Starship improvements and launch rates, the sheer number of satellites that will be needed for space-based data centers will push Starship to even greater heights. With launches every hour carrying 200 tons per flight, Starship will deliver millions of tons to orbit and beyond per year, enabling an exciting future where humanity is out exploring amongst the stars. The basic math is that launching 1 million tons per year of satellites generating 100 kilowatts of compute power per ton would add 100 gigawatts of AI compute capacity annually, with no ongoing operational or maintenance needs. Ultimately, there is a path to launching 1 terawatt a year from Earth. My estimate is that within 2 to 3 years, the lowest cost way to generate AI compute will be in space. This cost efficiency alone will enable innovative companies to forge ahead in training their AI models and processing data at unprecedented speeds and scales, accelerating breakthroughs in our understanding of physics and invention of technologies to benefit humanity. This new constellation will build upon the well-established space sustainability design and operational strategies, including end-of-life disposal that have proven successful for SpaceX's existing broadband satellite systems. While launching AI satellites from Earth is the immediate focus, Starship's capabilities will also enable operations on other worlds. Thanks to advancements like in-space propellant transfer, Starship will be capable of landing massive amounts of cargo on the moon. Once there, it will be possible to establish a permanent presence for scientific and manufacturing pursuits. Factories on the moon can take advantage of lunar resources to manufacture satellites and deploy them further into space. By using an electromagnetic mass driver and lunar manufacturing, it is possible to put 500 to 1,000 terawatts a year of AI satellites into deep space, meaningfully ascend the Kardashev scale, and harness a non-trivial percentage of the sun's power. The capabilities we unlock by making space-based data centers a reality will fund and enable self-growing bases on the moon, an entire civilization on Mars, and ultimately expansion to the universe. Thank you for everything you have done and will do for the light cone of consciousness. And Elon reposted that. And Sawyer said this is probably one of the wildest sentences I've ever read. It's the part where they launched satellites using a mass driver off of the moon. Elon said anything less than Kardashev 2 is feeble. Elon said back in 2021 that SpaceX is going to put a literal Dogecoin on the literal moon. So Tesla owner Silicon Valley said when? Elon said maybe next year. Adam said Doge on the moon is inevitable. Elon said yes. And here's an Elon employee saying there's still a 12-year-old boy alive in my soul screaming. One real dude named Elon Musk is actually turning our childhood fantasies into reality. Rockets touching the stars, self-driving cars, a machine that talks, robots working alongside people, telepathy linking brains to the world, X, the platform connecting everyone. Proud, honored to play even a tiny part in accelerating the future that 12-year-old kid always dreamed of. And Elon reposted it. And Elon said at the World Economic Forum that he would like to understand the meaning of life. Elon said traveling to the stars is inspiring. And here's a video taken on Mars. Can't wait to go, thanks to the Starship. And Elon reposted this. And he said, again, Kardashev 2, or you are not even trying. If you don't know, Kardashev 2 is when you harness all of the power of the sun, or your civilization star wherever you are. And Tetsuo says the reasoning for this merger is audacious but logical. AI's hunger for power is insatiable. Terrestrial data centers can't scale fast enough without imposing hardship on communities and the environment, as Elon said. So put the data centers in space, one company, Earth to Mars, atoms to intelligence to the stars. And Elon reposted it. Brian said, folks, we are now part of a space company here on X. At this point, no AI company has a chance catching up to Grok. Space compute is the ultimate destination. It's the beginning of the end to the others. Elon said, true. Here's Elon's plan to reach Kardashev 2. Move AI off Earth into space. Use Starship to build orbital data centers. Make space the cheapest place to run AI. Expand manufacturing to the the moon and harness the sun at civilizational scale. Elon said, and then the galaxy. Back in 2023, Elon said, X will become the most valuable brand on Earth. Mark my words. Brian said, fulfilled. Elon said, correction, in the galaxy. Hardmaru said, apparently this website now belongs to SpaceX. Andre said, you see, SpaceX equals space plus X. And Elon reposted that. And Elon posted, some days be like, and it's himself giving himself a medal. As I suppose the merger talks between XAI and SpaceX was just Elon and Elon. He said, to the stars, SpaceX and XAI are now one company. And X-Free says the Raptor 3 engine is a magic in engineering. Elon said, it is beautiful. And the Booster 19 preparing to begin pre-launch testing. Elon said Starship V3 rocket booster. Tesla owner Silicon Valley replied asking when 42 engines. Elon said the Starship V4 ship will have 3 more vacuum engines, making the total stack engine count 42 as foretold in the prophecy. Tesla owner Silicon Valley quoted that saying 42 engines, the prophecy fulfilled as foretold in the guide to the galaxy. Elon replied saying Raptor V4 engines will need to deliver 300 metric tons of force for the 33 engines to generate a collective 10,000 tons of force. Note, I use a ton to refer to 10,000 newtons of force. I just don't like the way ton force looks and nobody knows what a newton is. It also makes estimating things like acceleration in your head easier when vehicle mass is also in tons. And United Airlines says we just took one more giant leap with Starlink. The fastest, most reliable Wi-Fi in the sky is now on board 300 plus planes, nearly our entire regional fleet. We expect to also have it on board more than half of our full fleet, bringing the total to over 800 aircraft by the end of this year. More than 7 million of you on 129,000 flights have already been able to stream, scroll, game, and connect from gate to gate with Starlink. And Elon reposted that. He also reposted Starlink's announcement. Landon of the West said the future should look like the future. And S.E. Robinson said Starlink is our ticket to being multiplanetary, and Elon said yes. And One New Zealand said attention all Kiwi, One New Zealand satellite. Now you can use X anywhere in New Zealand you can see the sky, as well as stay connected and informed using apps like WhatsApp, and Elon reposted it. And Sawyer said, I think a lot of people underestimate how many people will switch airlines for great internet. Airlines that don't have great internet will lose customers to airlines that do have great internet. Elon said, true. And Falcon 9 lifts off from Pad 4E in California and deploys 25 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit. Elon reposted that. And Grok Imagine just got an Ad Astra template. Elon said download the latest Grok app. And Grok Imagine is now the #1 AI video model. And Elon reposted that. And XAI just rolled out a batch API for Grok. You can now send huge volumes of requests asynchronously with higher rate limits and lower cost. It's ideal for nightly report generation and summaries, bulk document translations, embeddings at scale. This is Grok built for real production workflows. And Elon reposted it. And XAI Memphis says XAI in consultation with the governor and local authorities deployed 500 generators to Nashville Electric Service in Nashville to families in need. We are deploying an additional 500 generators to Mississippi Emergency Management as well. And Elon reposted that. Governor Tate Reeves said thanks Elon and XAI for sending 500 generators to Mississippi. Elon replied with a heart. And Governor Bill Lee said Tennesseans without power need immediate help. And I'm grateful to Elon and XAI for going above and beyond to help. Elon replied, you're most welcome. We're working on providing Tesla power walls too. And Brian says it's all over Wikipedia. This recently released document shows how Wikipedia has been hacked and gamed by a notorious criminal. Use Grokopedia. Elon said try Grokopedia.com. We are striving to make this the best open source, no license or anything distillation of all knowledge. And David Holes asks if Twitter had tweets and retweets, and Truth Social has truths and retruths, can XAIX and SpaceX now have a cool name for posts and reposting? Maybe transmit and retransmit? Elon said not bad. And Al said my account is messed up. It's acting really strange and not circulating. Even after an hour I'm getting minimal views. Something is up and I can't figure it out. Elon said looking into it. And moving on to the Epstein files, Ricky Gervais was absolutely right and is going massively viral again for saying Elon replied, bullseye. On the contrary, here is Billie Eilish accepting her award at the Grammy. The editor of this clip blurred it out, but she said, fuck ICE at the end. Colin said, you cannot simultaneously believe that all borders are fake and should not be policed and that land can be stolen. This is one of the most brain-dead beliefs a person can hold. Elon said, 100. Billie Eilish faces calls to return her mansion to Native American tribe after stolen land remarks at Grammys. Elon said she is such a hypocrite. Chris asks, does this mean that all tickets to future Billie Eilish shows will be free? No paid performances on stolen land. Elon said, makes sense. The Babylon Bee writes, a room full of pedophiles protest ICE deporting pedophiles. Elon said, actually true. And Zero Hedge says it's time to accept that Civil War 2.0 has already started. Elon said, feels like it. And back to Epstein, the older millennial says, so Reid Hoffman actually went to the island and is somehow on here talking shit to Elon because he declined the invite every time? That's called projection, Reid. You shouldn't have been kids. Elon says, ... And news that the chair of Sweden for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees is resigning after revelations that she visited Epstein Island. Sweden for UNHCR is a fundraising partner to the UN Refugee Agency. Elon said, wow. And Reid Hoffman is still on the Microsoft board of directors. Is that appropriate for an admitted Epstein Island regular? The CEO of Microsoft really needs to take action. Elon said, as a public company, Microsoft has a responsibility to investigate Hoffman's deep ties to Epstein and what exactly he really did when visiting Pedo Island. And Mario says Elon pushed hard to get the Epstein files out and go after the people who abused children. He knew he'd get attacked for it by the mainstream media. Still worth it, Elon says, if it helps protect kids. Elon said, yeah. Kevin Sorbo says, I'm noticing that the only high-profile person actively calling for arrests to be made in relation to the Epstein list is Elon Musk. Why? Elon said, good question. And Kevin also said, I didn't get blacklisted from Hollywood. I left because they're all pedos. I feel like now is a good time to bring this back, he said, as he had said that in 2024. Elon said, not good. At least the worst of the worst should be arrested. And Mays says this is not AI. In 2013, the same year that Epstein wrote those emails about Bill Gates contracting an STD and trying to slip his wife drugs, Gates launched a $100,000 challenge to anyone who could make a condom that feels better to wear during sex. And Elon raised an eyebrow at that one. Peter Diamandis said that Hollywood convinced generations of a dystopian future because happiness was too boring for movies. We need better storytellers to show how our future will be abundant. Elon said the older seasons of Star Trek were a positive view of the future. And let's hear Bad Bunny's speech.
I just want to say muchas gracias to el presidente Trump and ICE for deporting all these illegal aliens and for pepper spraying all these white liberal crazy fat bitches. Mucho loca muchacha. Anyway, everyone in this room is a retard except for Jelly Roll. You're cool. Everyone else can kiss both sides of President Trump's big, beautiful ass. Muchas gracias, bichachos.
Donaldo Trumpo says, I thought it was a good speech. And Elon had a laugh at that one. And Alexandra Marshall said, you can't have hate speech laws because hate is entirely subjective. To the Taliban, women's rights are hate speech. Elon said, bullseye. And this Florida congresswoman says, I, along with dozens of my Republican colleagues, signed a letter to Mitch McConnell urging Senate Republicans to include the SAVE Act in the government funding bill to protect the integrity of our elections. No ID, no vote. It's not controversial. It's common sense. And Elon reposted it. Chuck Schumer says the SAVE Act would impose Jim Crow-style restrictions on voting. It will be dead on arrival in the Senate. Katie Miller said it's not racist to ensure only Americans vote in American elections. It's fundamental to a functioning democracy. Elon said 100. And Elon said voter ID and in-person voting is the only way to save democracy. Mike Lee said if ID checks are Jim Crow, then so are Democratic National Conventions where delegates are required to produce ID to get in. So are the following institutions: the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys, the labor union conventions, airports, hospitals, hotels, casinos. Calling ID requirements Jim Crow, as Chuck Schumer did, is absurd and insulting to the American people, who overwhelmingly agree that we need to take a few simple steps to make our elections secure. So what really worries you about the Save America Act and its voter ID requirements? Elon said, great point. And Tom Cruise hangs off airplanes at 30,000 feet. He has jumped out of helicopters, scaled the Burj Khalifa, and broken bones doing his own stunts because he thinks safety doubles are for cowards. This man just fled London because the streets feel too dangerous. When the most reckless actor in Hollywood history thinks your city is too sketchy, your city has a serious problem. And Elon reposted that. And Deborah says to try Grok Imagine 1.0. She also said her morale is at rock bottom and she can't sleep. Elon said, sorry to hear, I hope you feel better soon. And here's a short film made with Grok Imagine. It's inspired by Groundhog Day. It's called Routine. So I just played the video. If the music ends up being copyright, I'll take this out of this video that you're seeing now. So if you weren't able to see it, I took it out for that reason. Elon said short film made with Grok Imagine. So that's everything that Elon said today. The cheaper version of the Model Y got an all-wheel drive variant, and SpaceX and XAI officially merged. A lot of people think it's highly likely that Tesla will now merge with SpaceX and XAI, and due to the fact that Elon has yet to deny those rumors is usually a pretty good sign that it is going to happen. And if you guys want early access to these daily videos, you can gain access by joining this channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.